Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Tobian. Allow me to recount the plot of the book. Vasily Golovachev, The Shadow of Lucifer's Wing. Volume 1, The Newcomer, Chapter 5. For a couple of days, Nikita spoke only with his neighbors, his mother, and his training colleagues. He had firmly decided to leave the Karenev Ballet Company for a position at the small academic theater and, at the same time, resolved to grant himself a short week-long retreat in the countryside. To fund this, he went to the bank. His car was in the shop, so he had to hail a taxi. Of course, he could have taken the trolleybus, but Nikita never counted his money and lived comfortably. So he climbed into the taxi and simply wrote to the address he needed. Then he discovered he'd left his wallet at home. The taxi driver didn't find this amusing, and a lengthy quarrel ensued, after which the driver threatened to take the dancer directly to the police station. That was the alarm bell in Nikita's mind. This was once again turning into an unforeseen and unpleasant incident, exactly the kind he desperately tried to avoid. The solution presented itself by itself. At full speed, he reached for the handbrake and yanked it. When the car screeched to a halt, he flung open the door and bolted, running all the way to the bank without looking back. But his misadventures were far from over. As it turned out, the bank was in the midst of a robbery. At that very moment, 4 young men in stocking masks forced both customers and staff to the floor, stuffing bags with money. They were armed with pistols, and one wielded an Uzi. No sooner had Nikita entered than he was struck on the head with a pistol and then again on the back of the skull. Knocked to his knees, he was ordered to lie down. He stood there, bewildered, not knowing what to do next. Eventually, the robbers fled, firing a few shots into the ceiling. Then the police arrived, and with them burst in Takeda. Takeda took his friend home and began treating his wounds. Once again, Nikita was astonished at how unexpectedly and timely Tolya appeared. He asked, "So who's out to get me this time?" "Psycho-intelligence. The Satan as court. If the court appears, you're done for," replied Takeda. "I've already told you, don't pick fights, spend more time at home, or take up combat training." Nikita began boasting of the acrobatic stunts he could perform. Tolya insisted that this was insufficient, that his friend was unprepared for real combat, neither mentally nor technically. Time and again, Nikita begged him to share everything he knew. But Tolya replied that it was still too early. "All right," Nikita finally conceded. "I'll agree to your Aikido and Taekwondo, just find me a good instructor." "I propose another style," said Tolya. "Rostov, from the D school. I'll arrange a trainer." "What happened?" Suhov asked again, watching his friend pace impatiently. "Remember where I kept it?" Takeda produced a small stiletto knife. "I woke up, and it was sticking out of the bed. I was sleeping on the couch. I believe the handle's shape has changed," mused Nikita. "Not only the shape, but the very material," said Takeda. "I tested it in the lab, it's now forged from the rarest tantalum isotope, nearly unheard of on Earth." "Again the seal of evil?" Nikita asked. "Looks like a preventive measure," said Takeda. "From now on, stay vigilant, even with the most ordinary objects. Some can come to life. This metamorphosis is called infiltration." Their conversation ended there. Takeda then introduced Nikita to a familiar trainer. He worked at a private gym and appeared rather unremarkable. His name was Roman. But, naturally, appearances deceived. Before the friends could even greet him, Takeda struck the instructor with 3 swift blows, or rather, tried to. All three were effortlessly blocked, and the final block turned into a counterstrike. The instructor executed it with such ease and grace that Suhof watched in astonishment. Takeda requested that Roman take Nikita as his pupil. Roman warned it would not be easy, but after assessing the dancer's physique, he agreed to consider it. They asked Nikita to demonstrate a few dance steps. He performed with breathtaking grace, flowing seamlessly from one movement to the next, even in the cramped space among the furniture. Impressed, the instructor proposed an individualized training program. He suggested a 2-year course. But Tolya protested, 2 years was too little time for someone under threat. He demanded to accelerate the program, even if it meant training 24 hours a day. The instructor agreed, asking only why Tolya himself didn't train Nikita. Tolya replied that doing so would increase the danger for both of them. They needed an outsider. He also warned Roman that the forces hunting them might turn their attention to him as well. Thereafter, new unforeseen and unpleasant events began, undermining all plans for a peaceful rest. An object sprang to life. A telephone handset, once white, turned black, sprouted eyes, and hissed at the dancer. Then it leaped toward his head. Nikita managed to shield himself with his hand and hurled the handset aside. It struck the wall and exploded. The telephone itself burst into green flames, leaving no trace on the nightstand. He lay there for an hour, recovering and pondering this infiltration. By evening the unease had subsided, and he chose not to tell Takeda. But his misfortunes were only beginning. He packed to depart for his much-needed rest when his car's tire went flat once more. As he changed it, a convoy of cars carrying rockers arrived. They behaved outrageously, tossing empty cans everywhere. When one of the cans struck Nikita's car, he snapped and shouted at a young man in a leather jacket. An even louder volley of insults followed. The man was about to throw another can when Suhof grabbed his hand with such force that the man squealed. The dancer turned away, believing the incident over. But that was only the beginning of his troubles. A brawl erupted. He was set upon by the mob and shoved by motorcycles. He fought back, but would have been overwhelmed had reinforcements not arrived in 3 cars, track-suited allies, including Takeda. Suhof wiped his split lip, looking at his friend. "I'm beginning to think you provoke these fights, then appear to guide me along your path. If only it were that simple. But why do these misfortunes cling to me? Seal of evil. Why am I the focus of all these dark forces? You ask too many questions. And you'll have to answer them. Also, my trip is postponed. Convince your Roman to start training me right now. That I can do. But answers will have to wait. Until I give you vital information, they are merely taking preventive measures. And if they acted seriously, no one could save you. So, for now, the only option is to wait without answers."